Cars were built to serve the living and not the dead. I'm going to cover everything that you need to know about accessing and using cars from the moment that you download the build to the moment you climactically crash your car and several decayed arms reach in it. Note that this tutorial is going to cover everything that I know about the experimental build to help you get moving around. So how do you access cars right now? To access cars, you have to load up your Steam version of Project Zomboid, right-click the name of the game, then click on Properties, Betas, and finally click on Vehicles from the drop-down. This is an experimental build as of right now. The next thing you'll probably want to ask is, how do I get vehicles into my build? Usually they're checked off. You have to make sure that the experimental vehicles checkbox is checked off in the main menu. So start a solo game and be sure to check that box. Use custom sandbox settings in the vehicles menu to set up your world. The first thing that you have access to is vehicle easy use. Vehicle easy use turns on just makes it that you don't have to find keys. Every car just has a key and gas and it's in perfect condition. If you just want to see what vehicles are capable of doing, I'd do this. But if you want to see how they fit into the game, I would turn this off. The zombie attraction multiplier governs how much zombies will be attracted to the sounds of your car. So if you turn this up really high, then you're going to have a lot of zombies coming toward your car from miles away as soon as you turn it on. Car spawn rate is going to govern, just like it sounds, how widely cars spawn. Initial gas is going to tell you how much gas is in cars. If you set it to low, pretty much all of the cars are going to have no gas in them, and you're going to have to siphon it from other places. Locked cars frequency is just like it sounds, how often cars are locked. Gas consumption, if you set it high, you're going to consume more gas as you go. I would recommend leaving this low if you want to have gas for a long time. There isn't that much gas in the game. General condition is going to tell you how beat up the cars are. So if you set this to very low, you're going to have a lot of beat up cars in the world. If not, you won't. Car wreck congestion is going to govern how often you find wrecked masses of cars throughout the game. Here's what one looks like. Car alarms frequency governs how often cars trigger alarms when you get into them, because people often had car alarms in the 90s as they do now. Player damage from crash is going to tell you whether or not you get damage from crashes. If you have player damage from crash set on, then you may very well die in your car. You're in the game, you have cars on, you can't find them. Where are they located? Well, as long as you're not in some mod levels, because some mod levels don't have access to this, but Drayton, for example, is one that does. Cars are located in garages near people's houses. They're located in crashes that can be found littered around the map. In road buildups, destroyed wrecks can be found at highways and intersections. Note that you can't actually use the destroyed wrecks. There are many cars also, and probably the best source of them, in parking lots. There's many parking lots found throughout the game with keys littering the grounds. So you're seeing cars. To get into them, you have to press E on the side of the cars. There's several different places where you can do this: on the front, on the sides, on the back. Every car has a different number of doors, so check them out. They're going to be highlighted with green squares. Once you're in the car, if you go over to the vehicle radial menu, you can also change your seat in the car with a new UI. So now you got into the game, you're seeing cars, but they aren't starting or you can't get into them. What's wrong? Well, if you can't get into them, the doors are probably just locked and you're missing the key. There's another chance that you might just not have gas in your car. If you started the game with the default car settings, most cars are missing one of these things. Either 1, vital car parts needed to work, 2, gasoline, or 3, the keys. The vital car parts needed to work can be found in other cars in better condition, which you can uninstall, most of them. Some of them you can't. They can be found in garages located throughout the map, and in other places too, such as people's garages. Gasoline. Gasoline can be found in gas pumps before the power goes out, though you need to pump gas into a gas can and then into your car. You can't do it directly from the gas pump into your car. They can be found in other cars from which you siphon with a gas can, and I'm going to show you how to do this. You just open up the vehicle radial menu, and if you have the siphon gas option, you're going to go over to the gas dispenser on the car, the gas hole, and then you're going to pump the gas into your gas can up to a maximum of 5, which a gas can hold, and then you bring it back over to your car, open up the vehicle radial menu again, and press add gas. You can also siphon gas from your own car, but that's the same thing. To check for gas, you have to go into vehicle mechanics, and then you go to the gas meter. Keys. Keys can be found on the car itself, in the glove compartment or the seat. They can be found on the ground outside of the car, on a zombie near the car, or in a nearby house if the car is in a driveway parked. Be sure to add them to your key ring instead of your main inventory when you use them, because you're going to be picking up a lot of keys and you won't want them littering your main inventory. You know that you'll have the key to a car if a key indicator is over your head, which looks exactly like the key lying on the ground, so just take note of that. Hot wiring a car. Although you need mechanical skill and electrical skill combined, you can hotwire a car. You can't spawn in with the ability to hotwire a car because it's actually impossible to get those two skills together right away. But if you have one electrical skill and some mechanical skill, then you can start out by hot wiring cars, which is really useful if you want easier use. Let's talk about what cars do in the game and how to use them. Go into the vehicle dashboard. That's the first thing that you're going to notice when you get into a new car. First, on the far left, you have your current gear, which changes sometimes when you're driving. I don't believe that there's any way to control that as of right now. There is the engine button, which you can click to start. There's also a bunch of hotkeys that you can use. Your battery is going to govern whether your car works or not at all. There's an outside temperature gauge. Underneath that, there's a rotations per minute, pretty self-explanatory, found on real cars. There's a gas gauge. There's a locked vehicle doors button. This is more useful in multiplayer than in single player. I don't know why you would want to lock yourself out of your car. There's a headlights button, which you can use to turn on or off your headlights. A heater button, which you can use to heat or cool the car. Useful for summer and winter if you're going through difficult times in terms of temperature and you need another source of that. And then a lock trunk button, once again. Lastly is your miles per hour and your ignition. The keyhole can be used to start your car. You have to click on it once, twice to start your car. That's the same as the engine button. If your key is not in the car, you cannot start the car. Be sure to put in the key before you get started. The next thing you'll want to know about is the vehicle's radial menu. Now, the radial menu features variable parts depending on which car you're in. Sometimes it features even a siren so that you can control it for cop cars and ambulances. At the very top, you've got switch seat icons. You'll have variable numbers depending on which kind of car you're in. Then you have start car ignition. Sometimes this will be optional hot wiring if you have that skill. Your heater, your horn, your radio, which you can use even if the car is off, which works like any other radio in the game. Your windows, which can be opened or closed, and I would beware of opening them because then zombies can actually damage you when you're inside the car if you have the windows open or broken. Locked doors, vehicle mechanics, which we'll get into in a second, and you can actually sleep in your car. Beware of doing that because any number of things can happen. It's sort of akin to sleeping out in the open because a zombie can get through a door very quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is the vehicle mechanics screen. If you hit V for your radial menu and then you go over to vehicle mechanics, you can see your car's screen. This gives you the overall condition of your car. On the left, you see sort of a friendly picture of all of your car's parts that gives you a quick overview of what might be wrong with your car. Now, starting from the top, it tells you the car's model, the car's type, which governs which parts can be used on it throughout the world, the overall condition of your car, a macro sort of score that adds up everything in your car, the weight of the car, the engine power, you want high engine power for the car to be faster, the gas tank size, the weight, and the overall gasoline capacity, along with how much gas is in the tank currently. Now, the gas tank menu over here shows you what condition your gas tank itself in. So if you have a very low condition gas tank, it may start leaking gas as you drive and it won't be using up fuel so efficiently, so you want to replace that. Your tires, you have 4 tires on your car, which if they give out, will actually just fall off the car as soon as they go down to 0%. You can also inflate your car's tires with more air right outside the car. Under the hood, you've got your battery, which can be replaced, your engine, which cannot, your muffler, which can, and your heater, which cannot. Brakes can all be replaced. Your driver's seat and all of your other seats can be replaced. Know that there's many different types of seats and many different types of other car parts. Your suspension, which can also be replaced, though that requires several different tools. Depending on the part, you're going to have to use different tools. Some can be replaced with only a screwdriver. Other ones need a wrench or a lug wrench or a jack, any number of other tools. The body of the car, which can be damaged very easily by zombies, car crashes, any number of other factors. Doors, how are your doors doing? If zombies are knocking on your doors a lot, your doors may start to fall off. And finally, your lights, which govern whether or not you can use your headlights. You need to see everything in front of you once the power goes out. These can be replaced with normal light bulbs. Last thing I want to talk about is the mechanics skill set. I've had sort of a twofold experience with this. Replacing some car parts doesn't seem to raise up your mechanics skill, while other ones do. For example, I changed my battery and I didn't seem to notice any difference, but then I changed out my seats and I did notice a change in my mechanics skill. Mechanics will let you install or uninstall some parts to begin with, and then will also govern the chance of success when changing some vehicle parts. So just note that, and having a higher mechanic skill is generally correlated to more successful vehicle part changes. Last thing is, how are cars useful in the game? All right, so besides all the obvious reasons you're in a mobile fortress that kind of gives you another set of armor, I think that the term mobile fortress is actually a little bit misleading, because even though that it can defend you a little bit, it can also be a death trap. If your car runs out of gas when you're nearby a horde, they can easily surround your car and your meat in no time. Don't die in them, don't crash them, don't try to use them as weapons really either, because it's very hard to get a zombie kill in a car unless you're moving very fast, which is pretty rare on most cars, and chances are it's going to damage your car enough so that it won't really be worth it for one or two. Hitting anything will slow down your car significantly as well. I use cars as of this time just to build up speed, do looting faster, and to transport more goods. Don't let cars be a more deadly threat to you than the obvious ones that surround you. I guess for odds and ends, there's always things being added to cars. As I created this tutorial, sounds were just added to cars. More pleasing sounds so that they fit more into the game. New car models and colors were being added too. Physics are constantly changing since they were added, so be aware of bugs and anything else that you might miss. This is still an experimental build. And for the sake of recording this is updated to Vehicles Experimental Build 35.3, and this is the best of my information. I hope that you got something out of this tutorial. I hope that it helped you get access to cars faster and speed up what took a little while for me. All right, so if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, because I have plenty of other Zomboid videos and some tutorials that might help you, and plenty of other games that are like this on my channel that I'm sure you would enjoy. All right, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.